If your CRM feels like a second job, you are already losing. Right now, investors are burning leads because they're missing calls, chasing cold prospects, and leaving the hot ones waiting. So REsimpli new AI has just flipped that problem on its head, giving you instant lead, follow-up priority scoring, and smart call capture without touching your phone. Chenay is here, and she just is not talking about automation. She is showing how real estate investors are letting AI handle the grind while they focus on closing. So with that, welcome to the Closers Club. Chenay, thank you so much for being here. I really want to dive into this. So many investors are just losing deals because their CRM doesn't follow up fast enough. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see new investors making when it comes to follow up, and how can REsimpli fix that with AI?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was like the most amazing introduction ever, David. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you're
Thanks for
welcome. I'm a little under the weather, so I might feel like I might have flubbed it up a little bit, but wanted to give you
no,
the
it
best
was
one
perfect.
possible.
It was excellent. So, yeah, I mean, I think first of all, when it comes to follow up and the mistake that not just new investors make, but I think even seasoned investors make when it comes to follow up is they just don't
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah.
Um, it becomes especially if you have a lot of leads that you're working
Mhm.
and all of that sort of thing, depending on what CRM you're using to manage those leads. So just simply not following up consistently enough or at all is
Yeah.
where money gets left on the table consistently. So we have actually two AI agents that help investors stay on top of their follow up. One is the call follow AI feature. So basically, that will do outbound calls for you
The,
on your drip series
hold on. The,
campaigns.
the AI will make the call.
The AI will make the
Oh,
call. Yes,
okay.
the AI will make the call and engage your lead in conversation to qualify, try to get them to transfer over to a live person on your team. You can
Hmm.
set that up in your drip sequence campaign. So instead of you relying on people, to do the task of actually doing the call, the AI picks it up for you. So you don't even have to worry about that. So you can focus on other more income driving
Yeah.
tasks rather than just doing those simple
Mhm.
follow-up calls for those leads that have been in your pipeline for a while. That's the first one.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. Like, even when I was wholesaling or was first getting started, like, we knew we should be doing all of these things. But I think you talked about a little bit earlier, there's only so many hours in the day, right? There's
Only
just
8 hours in a day. Yeah.
right. And even you just if you had 24 hours a day, you couldn't do it all by yourself. So I love that, you guys have come up with something that will help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the greatest part about it is that, it's not a generic AI. Like it will
Mm.
engage based on what the lead is telling them and what notes you have in that lead as well. And then the second one is conversational AI,
Okay.
which basically replaces things like ringless voicemail
Mm.
and things that are a little bit outdated. And,
Yeah.
with ringless voicemail, it's just like a canned response. The
Mhm.
conversational AI is an actual SMS AI agent that
Mhm.
will look at all of your past conversations with the lead and
Yeah.
then engage that lead based on what that lead has told you in the past.
Wow, and that's something you built in-house that's specifically for real estate investors. It's not made for
Correct.
plumbers, and then, real estate investors are trying to use it too.
Correct. Yeah. No, we've built it all in house. That's one thing that REsimpli is very proud of is that
Mhm.
not just our AI agents, but the whole platform is proprietary. So we have an amazing development team that develops all of
Mhm.
these great features that is
Wow,
built specifically for real estate.
I love that. So you guys have worked with just hundreds, probably thousands of investors at this point. What was the real pattern that you saw that, made you guys want to really double down on AI? Was it just, the lack of time, or, what was it that you guys were seeing?
I think a couple things, I mean, AI has been kind of like the sexy buzzword in all industries for a while now. And I think it doesn't matter what industry you're in, be it real estate investing or something else. If you're
Mhm.
not utilizing AI in your business, you're falling
Mhm.
behind.
Yeah.
So we, our tagline, or what our motto is, to help investors close more deals. And so
Mhm.
we saw the opportunity there, that if we were going to implement AI, that was only going to help our investors close more deals even more,
Mhm.
by taking those tasks off of their plate
Love
and
that.
automating it with an AI system that really works.
I love that. It's, the way I think of AI, it's like a force multiplier, right? It just really helps take what we're doing and really just amplify it and put us in more places at, more times, I guess. So, and I know there are definitely other CRMs out there, but what's, some of the biggest differences between just the standard run of the mill out of the box CRM and the way that you guys really approach, like, I guess, lead management, right? Because that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. I mean, well, it was built by a real estate investor, I think,
Yeah.
is the biggest thing. So Sharad Mehta, the
Mhm.
owner and founder of REsimpli, is a real estate, and is, to this day,
Yeah. Very
still an
active.
active real estate investor. And so that right there, I think, is what really sets us apart. It's literally built by a real
Mhm.
estate investor for real estate
Yeah.
investors. And that's, you can't really ask for much more than that.
I will tell you, we've been, people come to us all the time and pitch us and want us to promote them. And we've talked to some people with some systems, and you clearly they're very smart people, but no idea how a real estate transaction works.
Yeah.
And we would get through it and I'll be like, I'm not really sure that's going to work. Oh, no, no, it definitely works. We're doing thousands of transactions. I'm like, I don't really think that you are. I
Yeah.
don't
Are
re-
you though? As
yeah,
my son
because
said, "Are you really?"
yeah. Like, I've been doing
Yeah.
this 20 years, and that's just not the cadence. That's just not how this really works. And I think,
Right.
that in theory it might sound good, but until you've actually been in the trenches and worked a deal from start to finish, or multiple deals, then you really don't understand. So also
Right,
that
and that,
company is no longer around. So I guess we
yeah.
were right about that.
Yeah, I mean, and that was really Sharad's whole thing too, is, in the early days of real estate investing, there was nothing out there that was
Mhm.
built specifically for real estate investors, and
Yeah.
he was pulling his own hair out with his own transactions. So, it started out of necessity, that he needed
Mhm.
personally, and then just grew from there.
Okay. So we got a couple minutes. Let's get into the nitty gritty. What happens? Walk us through what happens when a lead calls and nobody picks up. Like, how does the AI take over, and what can they do, or it do,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. So that's a big hole in a lot of people's businesses,
Mhm.
right? 'Cause we talked about it earlier. There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
You know, humans are gonna human. They're gonna miss calls. They're gonna
Mhm.
not want to answer the call. They go on
Yeah.
vacation
Yeah,
every
you're at
once
dinner,
in a
whatever, or
while.
movie.
Yes. So what we found is that we kind of had this vision of, what would your business look like
Mhm.
if you never missed a call again? And how would that impact your business, and how would that put you ahead of the competition? Because your
Mhm.
competition's missing calls, but
Sure.
what if your business is never missing calls? So that's where the call answer AI really came into play, and it operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Mhm.
365 days a year. It doesn't get
Yeah.
sick. It doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't need to eat. It doesn't need to do any of the things. So depending
Mhm.
on the person's business, there's a couple different ways that people can set it up. You can have it answer all of your incoming calls.
Wow.
You can set it up to just answer between certain times of
Uh-huh.
the day, like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But the point of it is that if there's somebody on your team that is not, if, or I should say, if there's nobody on your team that's available to answer the call,
Mhm.
the AI will answer the call. And I've played around with it, and it qualifies your leads really well.
Really?
Yes, based on the criteria that you
Mhm.
give it. You can throw it some real curveball questions, and it answers them beautifully. I remember when I was playing around with it really early in the beta stages, I was like, I heard wholesaling's a scam, like just
Really?
yeah, throwing that whole thing out there. And the way it answered and like explained how a wholesale process works and all of that sort of thing. So, um, again, we built it with guardrails, and it definitely will try to drive the conversation back to actually qualifying the lead, and either
Sure.
booking an appointment, or setting up a follow-up call, or even a live transfer to somebody on your team if they're available. So
Wow.
yeah.
So that is on the acquisition side. Is there anything yet, or is it coming for the disposition side?
It's coming. One thing that we really want, you can do SMS text blast. That's not really an AI thing, but
Mhm.
we do have dispositions coming. What we always try to be cognizant of is, ATP and DLC type stuff and
Mhm.
regulations regarding any sort of spam and all of that. So we try
Mhm.
to we try to protect our investors from themselves
Yeah.
when it comes to that type of stuff, so
Yeah.
that they're not getting in trouble with the carriers and
Yeah.
getting their phone numbers shut down and all of that sort of thing. So it is coming, right? Like the outbound, for example, like
Right.
the outbound AI right now, we have the guardrails in place that it's really meant for follow up. It's not meant for any sort of cold outreach or anything at this
Mhm.
point in time. And just trying to figure out a way that investors can utilize it well
Mhm.
without getting themselves in trouble.
Yeah,
So,
because wholesalers like me, and I'm, we're loosey goosey on the rules. They're like, it'll never happen to me. That was somebody else, right?
right. Yeah, exactly. So we try, like I said, we try to do a good job of protecting investors from themselves so that
Mhm.
because lo and behold, if it does happen to them, then they're going to come back to us, and because
Mhm.
that's how people
Sure.
are.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think AI, like you said, it is such a buzzword, and everybody, wants to have. They just want it implemented. They don't always understand how it should work. How do for those people who think AI like just sounds like really robotic or cold? How do you guys, your team, how are they keeping those responses feeling as personal and human like as it can be? Right.
yeah. I think they've done a really good job with the AI voice. To me, it does not. The only thing that I ever notice is sometimes the pause is a little bit longer than like
Hmm.
a normal conversation would go, but I
Gotcha.
think the voice sounds really, really lifelike, so to
Yeah.
speak. And the team's done an excellent job with that.
Hmm.
What people can do when they're setting up their AI agent, as well as they can give it whatever name that they want to give it,
Oh, really?
and yeah, and then they can set up, like I said, they can set up what works in their business for uh, grading the lead and qualifying the lead.
Really?
So yeah, so I think that actually leads me into another AI agent that we have launched that I think is super sexy.
Okay.
And in the early stages, it was, I haven't checked on the numbers, but like when we very first launched the beta, like everybody was using it. And I was like, I told you, like it was right. And it's our
Yeah.
lead score AI.
Okay.
So what the lead score AI does is it allows you to actually prioritize the leads in your pipeline that are more likely to close. So,
Whoa.
right now it's just kind of like, it's a gut feeling, type of thing. There's
Mhm.
no real guidance on like what's going to close or not close.
Yeah.
So what the lead score AI does is it takes all of your past deals, everything that you've closed in the past. It analyzes all of that data. I can't remember how many data points they have it
Mhm.
analyzing, but it's
Yeah.
substantial. And then as new leads come in and you start working those leads, you can press a button and the lead score AI will score the lead based on how likely it is to close
Uh-huh.
based on your business. So the beautiful part about that thing too is we were talking earlier about like what sets REsimpli apart from something that's generic to something that's specific
Yeah.
is that, if you and I got the exact same lead, it would
Mhm.
score differently because your business is obviously not my business.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
interesting.
literally looks at your business and will score the lead based on your business.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's wild. Let's just pull back a little bit out of the AI for people who are watching this and maybe new and maybe they're on still, scratch paper and spreadsheets, right? Like, let's talk a little bit about REsimpli, just the CRM. What are some of the things that are just as an overview that you do for a real estate investor who's maybe just getting started and trying to figure this out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the great things about REsimpli is it can accommodate investors in all stages of their investment journey.
Mhm.
So from brand new to, seasoned, mature businesses.
Mhm.
And the reason I say is ReSimpli will grow with your business.
Mhm.
So if you are still using, spreadsheets or scratch paper and pen, you can start with just the basics and just get your feet wet, get used to it, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. And as your business scales and grows, then you can start implementing more and more features that
Yeah.
ReSimpli offers. And then, and then for the mature businesses, it's all available right out the gate for you.
Mhm.
So, and something I always say is I know a lot of people are hesitant when they're just getting started in their investment journey to spend the money on a
Yeah.
CRM. Here's my take on that. If you're going to start something and you're committed to this business and you want to scale, you might as well start out on the right foot. You and I know, since we've been in the trenches for a while, if switching from any system to a new system is a pain in the ass.
Oh
Like
my God, it's the worst.
it just, yeah. So, why not? You're actually giving yourself an advantage if you're a
Mhm.
brand new investor to go ahead and purchase, a subscription to a CRM,
Mhm.
um, and get your processes and systems in place from the start so that you're
Yeah.
not all of a sudden backtracking after you've done a few deals and you've got momentum going, because it's going to be a hiccup
Mhm.
anytime you switch. There's going to be a lull in your business.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand new investor and just start off with it right out the gate, you're
Mhm.
eliminating that hiccup down the road.
I think that's great. And I love that, that your system and you guys are growing like crazy, which is a testament to how good you are in the service and the product that you're providing for real estate investors. But that, it's something that you could start out very simple. Like, let me just put my leads in here, right? Let me put
Yeah.
some buyers on this side. And then it can start to grow as you have time and your business matures and evolves. So I think that's really amazing. Let me ask you this question, kind of a final question. um, if an investor comes to you and had like zero systems today, like nothing, literally they're me starting in an Excel spreadsheet and they need to close a deal in the next 30 days, what's the first thing that you're going to have them automate with ReSimpli and the AI?
Drip campaigns, hands
Yeah,
down.
love it.
Hands down.
Love it.
I mean, the fortunes and the follow-up, I know
Mhm.
it's a cliche term, but it's
It's
true. I mean,
true.
there's a reason why we have cliches, is because there's a certain amount of truth to them. So, the fortunes and the follow-up, you've got to get those drip campaigns down.
Mhm.
You've got to get those set up so that your
Yeah.
leads aren't falling through the cracks, so that they're
Mhm.
not going someplace else. So, getting those the conversational AI, the
Mhm.
AI follow-up,
Yeah.
those the drip campaigns, hands down. You just have to, because
Yeah.
you're not going to close a deal in 30 days if you're
Mhm.
not following up with your leads. You're just
Yeah.
not.
And this is where technology, software, AI all comes into play. In the old days, 5 years ago, we had to hire people, right? Like I was bringing in people for 30, 35, $40,000 a year and just sitting there and they were calling old leads.
Right.
Or I was doing it, which I was never doing it because I was just off to the new hottest lead. And like you said, so much money gets lost or that lead just goes to somebody else, somebody who does want to do some follow up. So I think that's so crucial. And what you've put into the software is just a bonanza for an investor that's out there trying to grow their business and just keep track of everything, right? That's what a
Yeah.
CRM does at the end of the day. My God, it just keeps track of, all
Every
the post-its and all the nonsense that you've got, handwriting on the bottom of your coffee cup because you're driving down the road, right?
Yeah.
This is what a CRM does. And you have a mobile app too?
Yes, yes, we have a native,
Yeah.
Android and iOS, app, so which
Nice.
is great. Especially, I know you've done some videos in the past about,
Mhm.
like, driving for dollars
Love
and
it.
things like that, like, that's where the app comes in super
Mhm.
handy. So, let me just real quick, something I wanna
Yeah.
point out, regarding AI, because you mentioned, like, people, and I think a lot of people's hesitation about AI is that it's gonna take people's jobs and it's
Hmm.
gonna replace people and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. How we approach AI and what we've built out within ReSimpli is not necessarily meant to replace all your staff, right? Because it is a relationship business at the end of the
Sure.
day. At some point, they're gonna wanna talk to a human.
Yeah.
But what it does is it plugs the holes when your people can't be there.
Mhm.
And it actually, like you mentioned, either you had people come in to do those cold call, those really old leads
Hmm.
and all of that sort of thing. The AI can do that so that your lead managers and your acquisition people can focus on the new hottest leads that REsimpli just scored for you,
Hmm.
that are likely to close. So it's not necessarily meant to replace people. It's just
Hmm.
meant to plug the holes when people can't be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, I don't believe that AI is going to take, it's going to put all of us out of business.
No.
I think the pendulum swings where, for a little bit, people be fascinated by this, but ultimately people are going to want that human connection.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just gonna, like I said, it's just another part, of your business that you can utilize to close more deals,
Yeah.
make your systems and processes run easier,
Hmm.
utilize your human talent in a
Yes.
way that makes sense,
Hmm.
so that they're moving the needle at the end
Yeah.
of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And it just help us sift through the people who really do want to sell and the people who are just kind of thinking about it. I think, again,
Yes.
love it. Love that you guys have integrated it. And, this wasn't something you thought about yesterday. You've been working on this for years and years. So, and, the quality of what you're doing really shows.
Well, appreciate that, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely work hard at what we do and take pride in the product that we've put out there. And
Mhm.
um, another thing that really sets us apart is we're constantly innovating,
Mhm.
and it's not just like, here's our CRM, it's great, use
Yeah.
it. We're never going to change anything. I mean, we just rolled out 5.0 earlier this year,
Yeah.
and Sharad's already working on
Of
6.0,
course
which
he
we're,
is.
of course he
Of
is,
course he is.
which we're hoping to launch at the end of this year. So I mean, there's always room for improvement. We recognize that, and we strive every day to achieve that next level of improvement.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you, Chenay. Thank you so much for showing up. Guys, if you've been watching this, Chenay has showed you exactly how to use AI to stay in front of every single lead every time. So if you want to stop leaking deals and start closing more, we dropped the link here in the comments, resimpli.com/easyrei. Go to that link, check it out. It is absolutely amazing. We are using it in some of our businesses, so you should too. We only bring on the very, very best here. So, Chenay, thank you again and
Thank
appreciate you
you.
coming on the Closers Club.